This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm JP.
And I'm Ben.
Oh boy, big ball. All right. Just us tonight. Shane is away. Full disclosure, we just recorded about 20 minutes and had some audio technical difficulties. So we are redoing this. And so we're going to backtrack a little bit and talk about what we talked about before. But let's get into socials real quick. Door_disc_golf and night_owls_pod. That's where you can find us on Instagram. Doordisc.com is where you can find us for all your disc golf needs, at least Shane and Door Disc Golf. And then on YouTube, you can find us Door Disc Golf. That's where you can find episodes of our podcast along with Casual Relief and future content from Door Disc Golf, where Joe or Kevin or somebody will be making videos for the YouTube channel. So, Ben, let's just get into it right away with thrower, hanger, flipper. What did you buy this week?
I used my funny money from the Flex. So Door County Flex was yesterday as we're recording this. Fun time. Get to play with some members of the team, with the Shicks and with Lucas. And it was a good day. I used my funny money and I got a Discmania it's an FD, but I got a Showstopper, an Ella Hansen Showstopper. So I was looking for a fairly straight to stable fairway driver in that like 7-8 speed, and was taking some input and some recommendations from the fine folks at Door Disc, and that's what I elected to go with. So that is going to be a thrower for me. Haven't gotten a chance to throw it yet, but I am excited to break it out on the course at League this week and just maybe hit the field. So excited for that.
Nice. I bought two Nate Perkins Clash Special Edition Lotuses. It's his Tour Series disc. It's coming in a new plastic, a new special blend. I currently throw his Meta Essence, the Discmania Meta Essence. So I'm excited to compare the two and see the differences with those two discs. See if it'll replace it or not. So that's what I got this week. So let's get into the exciting stuff that's happening this weekend. DDO happened this weekend. Konopište happened this weekend. So let's get into DDO right away. Ben, you want to take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start on the MPO side because, in my opinion, the more exciting stuff happened on FPO. So we'll save that for last. But taking it down for his first, I guess, Pro Tour event, because I don't think he's won a silver. But Parker Welk, he took it down. At 31 under, beat Calvin Heimberg by a stroke, and then there's a three-way tie for third place with Evan Smith, Alden Harris, and Matty O. So congrats to Parker. Looks like he's been slowly climbing up the ranks as far as just like he's been in, like looking at his finishes this year, been in the mix. Yeah, the third at challenge at Goat Hill. He was in the cash line and he finished decently well in Vegas. At Memorial, he was 13th. So this guy is also, just looking at his PDGA page, is also a grinder. This guy's played so many events this year, and he's got another like 12 on his PDGA page. But so congrats to him on the MPO side. And then on the FPO side, and then we'll get kind of your takes and stuff, JP. Winning in a playoff was Wisconsin's own Haley King. She defeats Holland Hanley, friend of the podcast, in a playoff where they played 16 at Emporia Country Club as the playoff hole. And then in third place was Ella Hansen. And just because it is notable, Kristen Tatar finishes in fourth. So not on the podium, but still right there in the mix, Kristen Tatar.
Excellent. Yeah. Super exciting finish to the day. Well, for FPO side, with going to the playoff hole, even hole 18 was super exciting, where it came down to a eagle putt for Haley that she ended up missing. And Holland actually had an eagle putt as well and ended up uh, cashing that in. She parked the hole 417 feet, came within probably about 10 to 12 feet of the hole, and they tied at 19 down, going to the final hole. And Holland previously had dunked the disc on hole 16, and unfortunately, the same result. She threw it pretty low. Haley threw a nice, easy hyzer on that 320-foot island hole and took it down. So I think, was this Haley's first or second DGPT win? I can't, we haven't seen her a ton, so I kind of lose track of how many events she's played.
Yeah, I'm not sure about her schedule this year. I just know that this is her second DDO win. So,
Hmm.
so she plays Emporia quite well.
Yeah, the course suits her quite well. She can bomb a disc, and she's just a solid overall player. So good for her. And we also saw the return of Valerie Mandujano, or yeah, Valerie Mandujano. I was thinking Alexis, but because they both tied for 18th and last cash. She played decent, I would say, from when I saw of her on the feature card. Missed some putts, had some decent drives, but coming back, maybe some nerves being on Jomaz had a little bit to do with that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I got to watch her a little bit. I think it was just like one of those things that you just kind of see sometimes, and we all do, like regardless of like your skills. It's just like sometimes like you just can't get anything going. And that was just kind of like what I kind of thought about her play. The little bit I saw was she wasn't playing awful by any means, but it was just like one of those things where like she couldn't really find a rhythm or a tempo to really make things happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. From what I saw, she had the occasional birdie here and there, and then it was just, a par party. She was just par, 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 and then the occasional birdie thrown in here and there. And then, with Kristen, we've seen her finishing pretty well within the last couple of weeks. She seemed, I wouldn't say struggle, but she wasn't as consistent as we have seen her. She, found OB a couple times. She wasn't hitting her circle one putts quite as clean as she normally would. So, I mean, solid finish at fourth, but just not the dominant performance we're used to seeing from her.
No, but I think she's going into a stretch here coming up, and we can kind of preview what's to come here later on. But she's going into a stretch of some events that she does quite well at. So, was surprising to see her struggle a little bit at Country Club, just because obviously that's where she won Worlds last year. But Worlds is a different animal than DDO. But yeah, I think coming up, I think she's going to be just fine. Like, there's so many people online that I see that are just like, that find it alarming that Kristen Tatar is not winning every week, but that is just not a feasible thing that you can, really say should or could happen. But yeah, I mean, I think DDO is a fun event, but one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk to you about tonight was DDO kind of took some hate from everybody's favorite hot thumb Twitter action, Mr. Drew Gibson himself, who said that DDO basically is lame now because there's no AM events on that weekend and no one's showing up. So what were your kind of thoughts on that and what you saw on kind of coverage and everything?
Yeah, because we had tossed it back and forth in the in our group chat, and so I played DDO. Gosh, I think it was 2021, and so it was awesome. You had all the AM events are going on. Obviously, we played at different courses throughout Emporia, but definitely the spectatorship was way bigger than that. During the event, and they have the fly mart up and down the streets of Emporia, and that was crowded. You're talking thousands and thousands of people with all these vendors. EMAC always has a big release for this weekend. This year it was the Supreme EMACs were coming out, and last when I was there, people were lined up for like a block or longer trying to get, I think it was the Ice Emacs that were coming out at that time. So yeah, a bit disappointing on coverage to see, places like Country Club, especially, um, not packed to the brim. And I get why you might have AMs on different weekends. We've seen other events do that before, but to draw people into one of what you can consider like the disc golf mecca, people would travel to this place to, try like however many courses they have, in Emporia and just draw in. It was kind of disappointing to see.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought was interesting that I saw online that somebody had mentioned was for most people they were looping themselves in with what they believed was most people in Kansas was is that the KC Wide Open is a silver event, and that's
Hmm.
July 7th through the 9th. And basically this person online that was getting like a lot of likes and generating some traction had basically said for most people that live in Kansas that are like serious disc golfers, Emporia is not a great and easy drive. Like I have to drive like they were just saying I have to drive like 2.5 to 3 hours, where I can just take a very much easier drive as far as like major highways to get to, the Kansas City area to see the exact same field, and for cheaper because a weekend pass for KC Wide Open, because I looked at this after the fact, is $25 cheaper for a 3-day weekend pass than it was for DDO this weekend.
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I want to say when I was there, it was $20 a day for a spectator pass. So, I mean, if you want to see it, yeah, for cheaper and virtually the same field, KC Wide Open is probably a safer bet. Yeah, and flying out of Kansas City and getting to Emporia, like you said, it's a decent hike, to get there. Um, I don't know. It's just, like watching when I didn't get a chance to watch the final round of the MPO, but I watched the final round of FPO. And, to see hole 18 of Country Club and, it's not crickets, but it's not the loud ovation of, when Haley King was announced the winner. There was hardly anybody surrounding hole 16. It was crazy. And you're like, okay, this is a DGBT elite event. What can you do to ensure that people are making this event? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like it just felt weird. I think that that's just kind of what it is because you look back at all these things, Worlds last year, DDO, and then obviously its predecessor, the Glass Blown Open. Like you said, just every single event, like you would see, like players were doing vlogs at the Fly Mart, and it's just like 4, 5, 6 people deep at each table, and then just to kind of see this, it was just felt weird and just kind of a bummer.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see kind of what the next kind of couple weeks look like, just from a spectator standpoint, because coming up next week we have Des Moines Challenge. I think it's the challenge. I don't know. There's so many words that people put on the end of their tournaments.
DMC is what I
Clash,
call it. Yeah.
Throwdown.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that
Preserve after
event
that,
has
right?
quickly become notorious for. Yep. But Des Moines has become quickly known for having like raucous like crowds of like people are there and they're fired up. Like I remember last year they had the rain delay and then they had to play like they had to finish, like a good group had to finish up in the morning and then play around in the afternoon. And then like they had said that like there were some people that had just decided that they were just not going to leave. Like there was like a group of people that had tents that just apparently probably broke some municipality rules and just camped out at Pickard Park and were just there for like the 7:30 a.m. men's tea time.
Right? Because yeah, that's
But
an event that started as a silver series and then kind of gained traction, and they're like, yeah, let's get this on the Pro Tours, the Elite Series, and it's at Pickard Park's like It's awesome. It's a really good course. I enjoy watching it a lot. And I think players really like playing it from what I've heard and can kind of take from reactions and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that you're kind of right on there. I think that that's gotten a lot of high praise, and I think that that just also just is a great reflection of the event because it was a silver event, and then COVID happened, and then they were trying to piece together a tour, and Iowa was these guys in Iowa were like, yeah, we'll do it, we're ready to go, and then it got elevated, and then the quality of the product and of the tournament just became so good that it's now become a staple of the tour. And when you bring crowds like that, it's kind of going to be hard for them to not go to Iowa for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure Gannon appreciates them going to, kind of his backyard too. Excuse me. I just wanted to go back
Oh,
to
absolutely.
DDO real quick. We did see some changes at Country Club this year. There's a number of holes that um changed, whether it was a tree being cut out on, I think it was hole 6, long grass being taken out on along hole 8 along the water there, a couple of different pin locations, a couple new holes. What was your thoughts on the changes made this year?
I think changes are always good, and I think that this track needed a little bit of changes just after because the country club took a beating twice last year, right? Like you had the DDO and then you had Worlds. So I think like there's the way that I look at it is like I don't know anything about farming, but I've been told before that you need to change like what crops you put in the ground every so often to keep the
Mm,
ground fertile and to keep it being able to produce. So I feel that way about disc golf courses, especially like for tournaments like this, is that you need to make changes every once in a while. And I didn't think that they were too drastic that like you could give like one of the pros something to complain about. um, but it is always good and refreshing to see things get spiced up, but you still keep the essence of what country club is.
yeah, absolutely. And I heard Macy Valadiaz talk about it a little bit, and she said, the course just kind of flowed better with the new changes that were made, as
Mm.
with the holes. Like obviously, like 11 and 12 were new this year. A different pin location for hole 10. But they still kept some of those longer holes on the back nine that I really enjoy. Like 14, I think, is the big, is it 13 or 14, the big downhill par five, the baskets behind the green. Um,
Yeah, I know, I know,
obviously,
I know which one you're talking about. I don't remember what whole number it is.
yeah. And then obviously 16 and 15 is a pretty good hole. And then 18, obviously comes up towards the clubhouse. Different tee location for the men and everything. So back, it's good changes. And obviously getting rid, I don't know what, getting rid of the grass besides kind of beautifying it, maybe like regrowing, like you said, like keeping things and changing them for the better. And I'm kind of wondering if the country club actually saw some damage to a couple of those holes. Are like, okay, well, we need to consider um, moving these holes so we can kind of regrow or um, kind of get things back to the way they were for the actual course, the golf course. So yeah, interesting along the way. And then I was going to ask too, did
What
they
was
do the
your?
whole, oh, what's that?
No, you go. Go ahead. You finish your thought, and then
Oh,
I'll
no,
jump in.
no, yeah. I was following along too, and I know last year they split up the men's field. So half of them played Jones and then half played the country club, and like scores were like kind of awkward to follow along because it's like, okay, this half did this at um, Jones, and then like, okay, all of a sudden you see like a weird, gap in between scores, and it's like, okay, well, what happened to the rest of the field? Did that happen this year?
Jones Supreme was completely omitted. It was 3 rounds at the country club. So that
It was
was
okay.
another interesting factor of
Yeah.
just the event as a whole and whether that played any role into spectators or not. You would know more than I would because you've been there, but it is my impression that that the country club doesn't have a ton of parking to begin with, so like that might have just played
No.
a factor into um, everything. But
Yeah. I mean, there's the course itself has an okay parking lot. And then spectators really had to um find parking around the course, on side streets and here and there. And same thing with Jones. They had, a couple spots that um you could park, but it was mainly closed off and you had to park on the side streets and then they would shuttle people in to the park, to not disturb everybody around the course. And same thing with the pros. The pros had to like park off on side streets and then they'd get shuttled in as well to like hole one. So yeah, interesting changes this year.
do you remember that Jomez video? Do you remember that Jomas video where it was the practice round and Yuli got shuttled in and he was the only one that got shuttled in because Jerm and Nate drove and they didn't offer to pick him up. And then there was the same video where
Yeah.
the lawnmower guy like ran over like
Yes.
two of their discs.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
That lawnmower
Like
guy did
when I
not
think
give
of
an
when
F.
I think of Emporia. No, not at all. When I think of Emporia and I think of just like I've never been there, so like all of my memories of Emporia are digital. Like that video is like ingrained as like a memory because it's like one of those videos that I will go back on and watch like those moments are just like the clips, the short little clips that have been pulled from that video, and I will forever just like die laughing because it's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, Emporia is an interesting city because it's a
But
college town. Obviously, they have Emporia State, and then you travel kind of away from the college. Like there's like kind of like the main street that has like all the shops, the dynamic disc stores on, and then you travel out and there's a huge, I believe it's Tyson Chicken factory, like out, along like
mm,
another major road there. And obviously there's the municipal golf course is out there on another road, and it's fairly spread out. And it reminds me a little bit, I don't know if Green Bay is a good comparison, but kind of like that. Obviously not as big, but along kind of
okay.
the way it's spread out. Yeah,
One thought that I had, and I brought this up on Casual Relief, and I still think that it's true, and I still think it'd be a great move, is Emporia State should, like, in the summer, have one of their, like, residence halls available for, like, you and your friends to go, like, just stay in the dorms for X amount of days, and then, like, you can just eat at the dining hall for like one of your meals and then you can just go play disc golf and do Emporia all day or and then like you could have like a secondary thing on top of that where like there's like a list of like people in Emporia that like you could like hit up and be like, hey, be my Emporia like golf pro, like take me to the best courses, like show me where the best places like a concierge service. I don't know, just
sure.
just an idea that I had that I think that I personally would do.
Yeah, imagine if DD or if Dynamic Discs offered something like that. It's like, okay, you pay X amount of money, you can stay at Emporia State, and then you get to play with like Danny Lindahl or Anthony or Emac or anybody at the warehouse who's like fully has all the knowledge of Emporia and what it has to offer, and like you go to lunch with them or something, just to be able to talk disc golf with other people around the area. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, dynamic. If in the event that somebody that is works in that company in that facility is listening to this, and you steal that idea, I want a residual.
Yeah, hit up Ben and maybe you can be like a travel agent. You can set it up and you're like the go-between or the disc golf
That would be cool.
concierge.
Yeah, I mean, I will be the disc golf concierge for Northeast Wisconsin. So if you are coming to some event in the greater Lambeau area or wherever for our area, let me know. I'll give you all the lowdowns on the best spots.
Yes, yes, because there are some pretty good ones in the area. We are gonna talk about Konopište, but something that just popped in my mind is notably absent this weekend was Paige Pierce. She has not shown up to DDO the past couple of years, pretty much ever since she left Dynamic. And this weekend, I think she was at Bonoroo, the music festival, doing
Oh,
a disc golf
in
expo
Tennessee.
in Tennessee. So Discraft got a fully wrapped new van, and she, along with I think a couple other employees, ended up on one of the smaller stages off of the main stage and did a little disc golf expo, which is kind of an interesting way of spreading disc golf. I'm not saying, I'm sure plenty of people there actually probably play, but just an interesting way to grow the sport.
I like conspiracy theories, so maybe she's just got an axe to grind still with dynamic discs. So she's just like, I'm never coming back.
I, Honestly, that's what I think it is too. I think she's just so I don't want to say, well, yeah, maybe butthurt, or I don't know what the deal is. Things kind of ended rather oddly, because it's all handshake deals. Nothing was really put on paper. So yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for her just holding, grinding that axe against Dee Dee.
I wonder if James
But
Conrad went to Bonnaroo with her because they are friends. And James Conrad, I know, will never turn down an opportunity to go to like a live music event. So
that's pretty
wonder if
true.
James packed up his party bus and went with.
Yeah, he's like, well, I played pretty well at the Silver event the week before, so I can take some time off to go to this music festival. Quite possible. I don't know. I didn't really look for his name at all, so I don't know if he was there, but I could see it.
I mean, James is part of that group that's like major winner and good guy. So like you will always see him in some capacity because somebody will throw him on a feature card or a second feature card, and he just obviously he's still a good player. So like we for sure would have saw him if he was around.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, let's get into
But
Konopište, which Euro Tour event. Paul was there. That's one of the big reasons, but it's also, one of the bigger European events. Paul was tied second
used to
going
be a major.
into the final round. Oh, that's right. Yeah, did used to be a major. Yeah, indeed. I believe Eagle won it once. Simon, Paul, I forgot who else the former winners were. But so Nicholas Antela ended up taking it down convincingly by, what was it, 8 strokes? Is that what we had seen?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
My Udisc is acting funny on me right now, so I'm trying to look it up real quick. But yeah, I mean,
I've got
Paul
I've got
was
it. I can run through it.
okay.
Forgive me, we'll go through it quick. I do not speak any of the languages that are the native tongues of most of these folks that are playing in this event. But I do know Nicholas Antala taking it down 1 by 8 strokes over Daniel Davidson. That one I can do. But then in third place was Hjalmar Fredriksson. Jacob Semerad, we know him, and then Pekka Hoivunen in fifth place, and then Paul Macbeth in sixth place, like you said. And I'll let you get back into it. You were talking about kind of where he was at here in a second, but other notable names that we know who they are that have played in this event. Scott Stokely played in this event. KJ Naibo. Just looking down the line of some other names of people that we have seen play in the U.S. before on the MPO side. Just looking through this list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Paul, I was trying to track because like you could watch it on DGN. Like I was up late last night because I think the FPO started at around 2 o'clock, and I fell asleep and woke up during the middle of the night. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? So I ended up just watching some of the FPO coverage from Joe Mez Pro. I didn't turn on the Konopište, but from what I had seen, Paul was not like out of it like in the first round, but he definitely moved his way up in the second round, and he moved himself up to second place. And then he just kind of had a not like terrible round, but he just kind of played himself out of being in those top spots. Like he finished -7, but then you look at scores and it's like, okay, Jakub Semerad -10, Daniel Davidson -10, and then Nicholas Antela had -11, but he had already built up that huge lead. So, I mean, people kind of leapfrog Paul to get into those podium positions and top five positions. So, so far from Paul, he's kind of had a, well, I shouldn't say kind of, he's definitely had an up and down time so far in Europe.
Yeah, I don't. It's like what it's a fine line of just like his like I had questions of like what was the purpose of it other than like filming a documentary, working on his like the foundation and all these other things. But it's like to me it felt like Paul had really not a whole lot to gain over there because it's like he kind of it felt like to me he was going to be in a lose-lose situation because he's either going to go to one of these countries and do one of these events and he could just smack the field around and win by like 10 and then every Joe, Tom, Dick, and Harry, just like me right now, are going to be like, yeah, he beat no one. Or then he's going to finish like he finished a couple times over there, where it's just like, oh, dude, he's struggling. He's riding the struggle bus. What's going on? And we just don't. The reality is we don't know what's actually happening over there, just because it's like 3 a.m. when the
Right.
rounds are kicking
Yeah.
off over here.
And that's the other thing too. We don't know outside of disc golf right now what else he's up to. We won't really figure that out until this documentary comes out. So we don't know what I haven't seen a whole lot of what's going on social media really. So no, hard to tell exactly what Paul's plans are. But I do know one thing, he's definitely probably going to
My
show up during European Open.
yes, my my one thought as to what is happening is that I think there's a lot going on for Paul, and Paul is traveling and doing all these things, and he's just not getting super comfortable with the course because he might just be coming in like if I tee off on Friday and I'm playing like one practice round on Thursday, and he's not able to super dial in the course because these aren't super familiar. They're not familiar territories to him. Like he goes no, like he'll play Ledgestone every year. Worlds is just a revolving door of like where we're playing at this point. So that's my theory. Whether that's right or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Obviously, he's played Konopište before, but it's been a while. So, familiar with the course, but maybe just not familiar with the way things are at this time, or whatever the circumstances are. He just maybe wasn't comfortable at the time. So that's a good way to put it. Maybe I don't know.
On the I do want to bring up something quick though. On the FPO side of Konopište, the women's winner, Rachel Turton, she is from the UK. She's the first notable UK disc golfer that I've seen like kind of make some waves. She's from St Andrews, which is the home of golf in Scotland. Um, but you mark this down right now. Everybody listening, you can mark this down that she's going to be a name here coming up shortly because she's been playing PDGA since 2020, but she came over here for a little bit this year. But just looking at her events that she's played in 2023, she played in First Flight, but presented by Pro Discus in February, and she won that. She won another event here in the um or she won an event in the UK, but then she started her tour. She took seventh in the Copenhagen Open, which is a very big event on the European tour, like as far as like number of female entrants. I'm just solely looking at her PDGA page. Then she came over to the States and did a little bit of a mini tour to kind of get her feet wet. Beaver State Fling took 12th. Cascade Challenge took 13th, and then in the Portland Open, the Elite Plus event, she took 10th. And notable people who she beat in that event, she beat Jessica Weiss, Kat Murch, Hannah Wynn, Stacey Ronsley, Jen Allen, Sarah Hokum, Lisa Fakis, Holland Hanley, Deanne Carey, Holly Finley, Stacey Haas, Erica Stinchcomb, Madison Walker. So like all Leah Sinagini, all names that we know as far as like good FPO players. She hung in there with and beat a lot of them. So she is my pick of the future. And we will see her again. She has signed up for European Open, Worlds, and then she qualified for USWDGC. So we will, or she's playing USWDGC. Sorry, not Throw Pink. I don't know if she's qualified for Throw Pink, but we will see her again, and I truly believe that she will be in the mix.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, first notable kind of UK disc golfer, because obviously I always think of, most people think of football or, soccer. Um, because I would have to probably go on UDisc to look for courses. I have no idea what the saturation of courses is, in Scotland, England, and Ireland. So that's really cool. And then, and then obviously there's also the main European tour stuff. So yeah, I think those are good finishes. To just kind of come over here and get your feet wet a little bit, and hopefully we see her soon.
If anything, I think for her, like, that's just a huge confidence boost, right? Because like, playing on the Euro tour is fantastic. It's a great tour. It's really been starting to build up, but you don't really know what you don't know, or it's a lot of guesswork as far as, I guess, kind of where you could be at as far as the tour goes. So for anything for her, for getting those 3 events in and to cash at all 3 and to take home some significant money, it's a good thermometer and measuring stick of kind of where you're at.
Yeah, nothing like bringing some good hard American cash back to England with you. Turn them into some pounds or euros or whatever. They go have now.
They're
But
still using the British pound in the
yeah,
UK.
I guess that's true. I mean, following Premier League, it's like obviously it's transfer window time right now, so everything's, either, I guess everything's brought up in pounds when they're making transfers, or they'll convert it over to American dollars if you're watching, or euros or whatever. But yeah, that's that's kind of been on my mind more than disc golf almost right now. Is just the transfer window, trying to watch to see who's going where.
Well, everybody's playing second fiddle with whatever transfer happens to Mr. Messi.
Yeah, that and Bellingham to Madrid, that was big too. All right.
But
Well, we've kind of come into that time where, Ben, do you have a question of the week? It's been a
I
while since you
do,
gave
and
us
it's
one.
it's
Shane and I have been trying
random,
to
but
come
it's
up with
also
some.
just it is. It is random, but it is disc golf related. So
Okay.
Shane's gonna kick himself when he listens back because he's not gonna be here for this one because I think he would have liked this one a great deal. What would your either DJ or rap name be but it's got to be disc golf related, or your disc golf rap or DJ name?
Okay. I think a really easy, but kind of, I shouldn't say easy, almost lazy. It would be like DJ C1X, or
Okay.
like DJ Caged Putt or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other good ones.
I was kind of thinking about this too. Chained out,
Hmm.
and then you could just, if you were a rapper and you were chained out, you could just just have a lot of chains. Um,
Yeah, I like that one. Or what about like if you're a female DJ, Annie Heiser? Is that-
ooh, that's a good one. That'd be top for me for that one. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but if you were a disc golf DJ and you were like doing like the house or EDM like that, like in that sort of like remixes. If you were a disc golf DJ, you would have to mix in the sound bite of the WTF Richard in all of your
Yeah,
your DJ sets.
yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised Kevin Jones hasn't thought about doing that at all when he's at the tour stops.
Oh man, I want to last so I'll make this an announcement here. I'm going to preserve. I will be you'll not see me that week. I am going to preserve. I'm going all weekend. And will be excited to see if he DJs again, because last year I saw Instagram photos and highlights of after the Friday round on top of like this shipping container that is like one of the pro shops at the preserve is just photos of Kevin Jones just DJing. So I am excited, hopefully, to see Kevin Jones just mixing up on top of this pro shop at the Fly Mart.
Oh man. I so when Preserve first opened in 2020, I went out there as well. We were on our way to Western Minnesota to get our dog. Like we had found this boxer that we really wanted. So we drove all the way out to almost South Dakota. And I played the Preserve like super early in the morning. And they had like, I don't know if it was an RV or like you said, like a shipping container. That was their pro shop. And then they had a drop box to just drop money in. I was like, this is the most random thing I've seen out at a disc golf course. Of course, it was beautiful, obviously, but it's just like, what? Like, Kill probably just had bought the property and like wanted to set something up and like hadn't fully sunk in like all the money that he could after, buying the bar and the clubhouse and all that stuff. I was just like, okay, I'm here to play, whatever.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be,
I'm really excited. I've never been there. I have it on the agenda that I will play the layout in the morning, the Monday morning after, because Tuesday I put in for PTO for it, so I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna play the layout on Monday and see how I do. I don't think I'll do quite well, but I would just it's always fun just to hit up those pro tour courses and see how you hang. So.
absolutely. I mean, you got to play Idlewild. I mean, one other, obviously like Silver Creek, because that was a Silver Series, years ago. Any other Pro Tour courses you've hit up that
Yep.
you had fun playing at?
Idlewild's the only one that I truly have played, and then this will be the next one. But as far as like the ones that are really just accessible, like that are like on my list of like that I think I could do, like just take a weekend and go. Pickard Park is one that I'd want to do. I just don't know about like the layout, if that one's up all year, like that specific layout. Obviously, there's disc golf there, but and then Northwoods Black is open year round, so I'd want to do that one. But I think like number one, I think for every disc golf fan is to make the pilgrimage to Maple Hill. But those are on the list. But as far as what I've played right now, as it stands, Idlewild is the only Pro Tour course I've played.
Got it. Yeah. I'm sure your guest last week, Mr. Mike Harrington, has played a number of them. And yeah. What? Oh, okay.
Well, that's all I got. Anything else for you, JP?
No, usually Shane does shop updates. So I think the latest things that we probably talked about last week, but he mentioned the Discmania stuff, and you had mentioned, you got the Showstopper, and I think CD1s had come into the shop, the S-Line DD1s, the FD2s, and more Rainmakers. So I don't know. And then I don't know if they're gonna get what else Dynamic released those, was it Lucid Ice Orbit Trespasses? And I think there's another disc, but I don't know. But those
They had a
discs look
Supreme.
odd
They
to
had
me.
something Supreme. I don't remember what it was, but it was approved. Something Supreme was approved. So
I think it was the EMAC maybe, or maybe it was something else. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I could really think of for this week.
should have
Fair
tuned into Casual
enough.
Relief coming out on Wednesday.
Nice. No guests this week, just you and Michael and Matt.
Yep, just the three of us, just rambling. We each kind of brought a topic to the table, and we all just kind of broke it down and gave kind of our thoughts on some stuff. So, yeah, it was under an hour episode this week. We tried to do our best to keep it under an hour because the previous episode was 2 hours. But yeah, we just had some good riffs, and we've got some good stuff lined up as far as talking points and just some other stuff. So I think we're starting to hit our stride and just kind of keep going there. So it's a good time.
Nice. All right. Be sure to catch that. Usually drops around midnight Wednesday nights, I believe. And so that'll do it for this week's episode of Night Owls. Catch us now here Mondays, or when our new episodes drop. We're not doing um, Monday episodes, our shorter Monday episodes. This is going to be the main episode uh, for time coming. So thanks for tuning in and peace.